You're listening to the Sean Dillingham podcast.
All right, here we go. Episode 2. I'm so excited because we have here today the man, the myth, the Mike WATKISS. There he is, live in living color. No, that's not your Lord and Savior. That's Mike WATKISS. What's happening, Mike? How are you?
My dear friend, it's so nice to see you, hear you, be on stage with you. Great to see you.
You too. Your background is great. Mine, I look like I'm in county lockup. I have prison gray.
Are you preparing for a role?
Yeah, it's my self-tape setup. I've got lights here and it's very blah, but
Well, you got a great microphone, and really that's all you need. When you got a face like yours, dude, all you need is a microphone.
Well, what's going on? How's life? How's acting? Listen, let me give you just a quick background. Mike WATKISS, investigative journalist. I don't want to get into that. I want to talk about Mike WATKISS, the actor. And now let me tell you this. My first introduction to you was the film Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Because you were in that as the reporter with the little bird and the poppy. Yeah. And when I saw you, I was like, that's the guy on the TV. I know.
Tomorrow on A Current Affair, inside the home of the Menendez brothers' attorney. And next, we'll be back in a minute with the heartbreaking story of the blind Rhode Island boy who was duped into buying a dead parakeet.
I just thought he was real quiet.
It was a stretch, Sean.
Yeah.
Really, it was a real stretch for me as an actor, I'll tell you that. I tell my kids that whatever I have done in my life or in my career, the truth is I will best be remembered for 30 seconds in Dumb and Dumber.
It was awesome. It was
next up on A Current Affair, the heartbreaking story of the little blind island boy who was duped into buying a dead parakeet.
What kind of sicko does something like that?
Who are these people?
How did you? Now, let me ask you this: how did you land that gig? Where were you? Back east? Were you L.A.? How did that come about?
Well, I was working for the TV show A Current Affair. I had just been booted out of the New York office to go run a little outpost in Los Angeles. One of the gals who did promotions for the show and was frequently calling me about stories I was doing, trying to get them in ink or in the papers. She calls me and she says, "How would you like to be in this movie?" And it's whatever, and it's like, sure. Hey, yeah. Sure, I'll do it. And the bottom line is I was working in L.A. and at the time Jim Carrey was just taken off, and he was still sort of in the ensemble of In Living Color.
Right.
Just really a groundbreaking show. Mm-hmm. But those guys we shared an office with the guys in Living Color, A Current Affair in one corner, in Living Color, Jamie Foxx, the whole. And I used to stand in a coffee truck line with Jim Carrey and those guys. And then suddenly he's the hottest ticket in town, and I'm getting hustled to go play a reporter in this film of his. Yeah. And let me tell you, I'm glad I didn't turn it down.
No kidding.
The one funny caveat is I'm at this point in my career, I think I'm a real serious journalist, take myself way too seriously. We just shot the film. We were invited to a screening for, about 1,000 people. It looked like everybody who'd worked on it without the stars, but they special screening for us. Went to Hollywood with my wife, and I'm watching this film, and I'm starting to see how sort of it's sort of childish.
Yeah.
And I sort of elbow my wife. I think maybe I shouldn't have done that. She looks at me as only she can, and says, "Are you stupid? This is going to make a fortune." And lo and behold, it is my one true blockbuster.
It's a classic.
So
no audition, nothing. They just said, "Hey, you want to come do this?"
They wanted somebody, like I say, it was through the PR agency that A Current Affair handled. They wanted a current affair guy, and I was the LA, I guess I was sort of the prototype current affair guy at the time with my trench coat and everything, coming down the stairs talking about the poor dead bird and blind. It's a heartbreaking story, but these guys can get a laugh out of it. But that's the Farley brothers. So it was fun. The other interesting little insight into that was the day I shot. I'm in LA, but they shot most of it in Salt Lake City and Park City. That doubled for New Haven and or Vale or Aspen or whatever. So
Yeah.
the bottom line is, all shot in Utah. Salt Lake's my hometown, so I got to fly from L.A. to Salt Lake City. I caught a Jazz game while I was there. Bonus. Next morning, I get up, and Jeff Daniels is walking around a parking lot in this dog costume without the head on, just talking to the crew. And by this time, Daniels is already a famous actor, so I'm thinking, wow, this is whatever I'm into. This is going to be sort of a wild film.
Yeah, yeah, it's a classic, man. Good for you. Now, let me ask you this. This is sort of the egg in the chicken question.
Yeah.
But what came first? Was it journalism, investigative journalist, or was it actor? Then, or did you do the journalism and then you know what? I get this camera thing down.
Well, I think honestly, they're sort of the way I did TV was there was a certain degree of theatrics to it, and I think the and being a good TV producer, you gotta know how to produce good TV,
Hmm.
and the storytelling. I did my first TV commercial for a loan company when I was about 12. So, I was just doing a little bit of the acting stuff all along, but I knew that I studied journalism, and I knew that I like telling stories as much as, and this is, to be a good actor, got to be a good storyteller. This is what
Sure.
you know this better than anybody.
Yeah.
They seem to go hand in glove. It wasn't like I made one choice. I was sort of doing both of them most of my life.
Hmm. Hmm. And you've made the switch over to full-time acting, dedicated actor, yeah?
Yeah, well, I never get enough work, Sean. You know how it is.
I'm
As a
telling you,
dedicated actor, I'd love to be a lot more dedicated.
it's
But
famine or famine. That's what it
yeah,
is.
that's what it. Yeah, that's so you. But I retired 4 years ago, just a couple of weeks back, and so
Hmm.
it's a 4 year anniversary. I wrote a book and have done some. I've done some stuff with Netflix. There's this thing on Netflix right now that is sort of back in the journalism world called Keep Sweet, Pray
Hmm.
and Obey, which I have something of a role in. And
Hmm.
so I'm doing that. And that's sort of dabbling in the journalism when I can help out. But no, I'm all in to be an actor.
Yeah. It-
So I'm trying. I'm following. Really, I came here because I want to learn from you. 'Cause I
nah.
don't know. You're the best business model I know in town seems to be making it happen for yourself.
Well, thank you. Know what it is? It's hustle, hustle, hustle. And I tell people, I got 7 agents, and they go, wow. And I go, that's not for any reason to be. I got 7 agents. It's because realistically, I know each one is maybe going to send me one self tape a month,
Yeah.
and that's it. And I just want to get a bunch. I'm willing to travel.
Yeah.
And I just hit those casting sites, and I'm constantly submitting, no matter the role. If they're like, "Can you play a 60-year-old black lesbian?" and I'm like, "Yes, I can. I can do that. I've done it before.
Yeah.
Easy peasy."
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, and that is the heart and the gusto. You got to have the fire. You got to have the fire in the belly, which you're
Sure.
talking hustle, hustle. It's the same thing. You
Yeah.
can couch it in any phrase you want, but acting is such one. It's I almost find myself catching. Am I an actor? Well, when did I act last?
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do, and you have to sort of make your own reality. All
It's
of us
true.
do.
Well,
Yeah.
and what actors don't know, and people that aspire to be actors don't realize, is that, and I came to this realization very early on. It's a gypsy lifestyle. You will never act in the same place twice. You better get ready to get a car and get on the road and get out there, because if you're looking to be just the best actor in Arizona or Phoenix or Tucson, you are so limiting yourself. So
Yeah.
limiting yourself. I know an actor that landed a gig reading a teleprompter, which couldn't get any easier, and it was for a realty company, and they paid her like 500 for the day. Took an hour. All she had to do was walk into the studio, read the script, boom. And a week later, they contacted her again and said, "We want you to do another one." And she said, "Yeah, I can't get it off work." And I'm like, "They'll never hire you again the second you turn them down."
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because that's heartbreaking that someone would feel that they're in that position and not be
Yeah.
able to seize that that opportunity. But and it's one of those kind of things that you have to be fully committed. And you're right, it's hard, and you better have some stable relationships, or you're going to have a bunch of tattered relationships.
Sure.
You are a gypsy, and there is a certain degree of narcissism that goes with running around and say, pick me, pick me.
Yeah, that desperation. I saw Bryan Cranston in an interview recently gave some great advice to actors, and he said, my best advice to you when you go into audition, don't think of it as an audition, because there's so much outside of your control. You're too tall, you're too short, you're too old, you're too young, you're too fat, you're too thin. He said, just look at it like this is my little 5-minute performance opportunity. That's it. Because if you go in and you go, I really, 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 really want to get this, God, I want them to pick me, they can smell that desperation. And he said, don't do that. Just go in, do it, show them your interpretation, and then leave it there.
Yeah. Well, and that's such sage advice, and so very difficult to put in practice.
Oh yeah.
But if people who can get into that sort of zen of the thing will last longer and probably have more success.
Do you have, as an actor, a particular favorite genre you like to act in? Western, horror?
No, honestly, at this point, I would love to find a place where I could just get paid to play the old men of Shakespeare. I mean,
Yeah.
I like, to the extent I've had any training, I would love to do the classics, and with my look these days, the last film I did, I played Hollywood's biggest pornographer producer. That was my last role, and then the prior to that was a horrible misogynistic actor in our friend's film, Some Nudity Required. So I get cast as a lot of evil men, and what I tell the producers is, I've covered so many for so many years, I have a lot to draw on.
Sure. I gotcha. Is there what kind of training did you start off in? Acting classes, come up through theater? I mean, what's your background?
That, and I can't even say that there was any coherent training, but I have taken classes whenever I've had an opportunity. And I'm taking classes here in Phoenix with a woman I work with in LA.
Mhm.
That it's just because especially when you're, I find as an actor, and tell me, I love, the best part for me is to having something in my head that I can really just wrestle with.
Yeah.
The lines, the nature of the character. And I find that is so fulfilling to, I mean, that's the part I really love the best, I think, now as I've become older. But, I'm rambling, but it's just, I still find the process, sort of exhilarating.
Yeah.
And, I find it, I love
Are you one of those actors that likes to get, like you said, into the skin of that character, or
too much, way too much, yes.
really?
Stupid, and and as Olivier told Hoffman many years ago, you should try acting, son. It's so much easier. But no, I'm definitely in the Hoffman camp on that.
Yeah.
I wish I was as trained as Olivier, so you could pull it off. Would you just with given the script and okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. Any interesting set stories? Any memorable incidents on set that you were like, oh, that's really good, or ooh?
Aren't these things sort of like the Vegas adage, better left on the set? I don't.
Yeah.
I've never had any real. I mean, I've had directors that I have hated and had miserable experiences with, and then I've had directors that have just been wonderful
Yeah.
and great. And I guess I'm fortunate that I've been able to have sort of I know what I like and I know what works.
Hmm.
But I tell you, and you've been around as way more than I have, but I'm really impressed with some of the talent we have here. I mean, just the people who throw in to do crew work in that I've worked with in Arizona, and then just some really talented actors.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a great actor. There's a couple of guys, there's a couple of folks in this town that would be good in any town you drop them in, and it's no wonder they're succeeding. So. The bar. I hope that whatever this new legislation or something has triggers some work here, because
Yeah.
it's just a tragedy that Arizona's not capitalizing on.
Yeah, they just passed this new tax incentive for those that don't know, in Arizona, to try to generate some film industry here, because right now Arizona is pretty much just a commercial town, commercial and independent films and projects, no major televisions, series or films. And it's interesting, I don't know if you heard that, but the Breaking Bad was originally set in I believe it was Riverside. That's where Vince Gilligan wanted to. The story was based there. They wanted to film there, and the studio said, "Listen, Albuquerque just passed. New Mexico has this amazing tax incentive. They'll match us dollar for dollar. So, how do you feel about moving it there?" And he was like, "Well, it's set in Riverside," and he's like, "Well, it could be any town. Let's go ahead and try it in Albuquerque."
Worked pretty good. Well, and it's just, I mean, for the last, for the last many years, Arizona has basically just been this black hole between Hollywood and Albuquerque, and New Mexico feasted on our foolishness.
Yep.
And well, the point, I did a film a couple of years ago, again, a real stretch, playing myself in this thing called Outlaw Prophet Warren Jeffs playing, and I played a reporter in that. Quintessential Arizona story. I mean, all my work is in Arizona. The communities are in Arizona and Utah. All of the law enforcement has happened in Arizona. It's an Arizona story. Guess where they filmed all of that?
Oh no.
Yeah,
New Mexico.
yeah. I had to fly to Santa Fe
Yeah.
to shoot my role in this quintessentially Arizona story, and I'm thinking, how can we be so foolish to be missing this just cash cow that is the movie industry?
I just read that last year they did $1 billion in film and television.
Yeah.
That Netflix, Amazon, Disney, Universal, they all
They're
have
all
studios
there.
out there.
They're all there. Yeah. And you and I, if you know anything about the movie industry, Arizona was as important as Hollywood for a great, and we gave that away.
Yep.
The diverse scenery, how many westerns, how many, from Raising Arizona to Steve McQueen movies to, the history of Arizona's filmmaking is rich, and then it just dried up.
Yeah. Bad, dumb decisions by politicians. I know that you're going to be
guys.
when you're going to be shocked to hear that, but yeah, politicians.
Yeah, so but that's sad, but I'm hoping that this, let's be optimistic. Let's hope this turns things around a little bit, and you and I can start you and I don't have to travel so damn much to get the gigs.
Yeah, have you done any stage stuff? Any theater? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not nearly enough, and not to say that I'm any good at it, but
I've only done a handful myself.
but yeah, I just think you got the chops, dude. That I've seen. I've been in readings with you. I've seen your work. It's one of those kind of things. As soon as you just light up, you're on.
Yeah, but you as well.
I know how to do it.
You start talking, and that voice it grabs the room. It just grabs the room. But I was curious because I only did a handful of theater, and I've been asked to do more, but I just the reason I graduated from theater was that it was for me, it was just too much rehearsal, too little performance.
Yeah, and there's that for sure. Yeah, this is if I'd love to get a gig like in a Shakespearean festival. That would be where you're working every night.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I think it's scarier too. I mean, you're out there naked in front of a crowd.
No,
you can always do it over again in front of a camera, which gives you a great safety net.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're an adrenaline junkie actor, I guess there is the thrill of the very real possibility that you're going to tank.
Yeah.
In front of a live audience.
Yeah, and you get that feedback when there's a laugh. There's supposed to be a laugh. They're screaming. You hear a gasp. I love the live performance, but 3 months, 2 months of rehearsal, 1 month of performance. I was like, I want to do it, but listen, if you think I'm turning down a TV show, a commercial, or a film,
and that's the problem. Yeah, because you and I are sort of always waiting for the next big thing, Scorsese or Spielberg to call.
Yeah,
so it's like I can't tie myself up for 4 months, but whatever.
Yeah, I have a few in my past of close but no cigar auditions that landing gigs is great, but to be able to say that I auditioned for such and such, and I auditioned for such and such, that to me that's a thrill. That's just in my eyes as big as some of the other things I have landed.
Right,
You
right.
any stories? I auditioned for this, didn't get it, auditioned for that, but
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I've been up for TV jobs on various TV sort of news magazines, and
yeah,
they'll take some other famous guy, and you
yeah,
know what? In the long run, they made the right call because
yeah,
I probably wouldn't have fit. But yeah, I mean, my acting has been so sporadic, and then while I was being a reporter, really, I was just doing stuff that people came to me and said, "Do you want to do this? We'd like you to do this," which is always you know that, yeah, and I'm sure you've had that happen. That's the best way. They
yeah,
come and want you because they
yeah,
want you. So most of the last few things I've gotten is sort of like that, but
yeah. And
which
that's
is
why I
always,
tell, listen, that's why I tell actors when I have stuff on social media, 90% of what I post is like, here's a picture of me on set. Here's a commercial I just did. Here's a movie I just did. Why? Because the people I'm connected to are writer, producer, casting, director. And when I post that, I can't tell you how many times somebody has contacted me and said, dude, that commercial that was hilarious. Listen, I got a thing coming up that you would be perfect for it. And that's why I do it. Why? Because people want to work with actors that are acting.
yeah,
I'm not like, here I am having sushi. I
and
don't do that.
don't be delusional about, I'm just such a great actor, they're always going to come find me. You got
No.
to see, but you put those out there. Oh yeah, he can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, he can also do that.
Yeah.
And we're looking for a guy that can do that.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to sort of put yourself out there, you're probably going to spend a lot of lonely nights at home. You're not going to work.
You
There
got
is
to.
some promotional, self-promotional elements to that as some of, we may find distasteful, but if you don't do it, you're not going
You are your own best salesman. Nobody's going to push you like you. And
to.
like a boxer, a boxer is only as good as his last fight. An actor is only as good as his last gig. I
Yeah,
personally, I have a resume the length of my arm, and you know who's impressed by that? Me. And that's about it. Because I've seen it time and time again. People are like, wow, Yellowstone, Better Call Saul, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's great. So what can you do for us?
yeah, right,
And it
right.
doesn't matter because
And
you
now, and
constantly have to prove yourself.
yeah, and you always will. And nobody said life was fair, and it's certainly not fair in acting or in theater. So
Yeah.
either you sort of accept that reality, or it will weigh heavy on your shoulders.
Yeah. One of the gigs that I had the upper, I can't even say I came close to, I got to audition for, and I wish I had landed it, but I read for the movie Vice with
Oh, terrific! But
with
Christian Bale,
Christian Bale
terrific
and
performance.
Sam Rockwell and Steve Carell,
Oh,
all these big names, and I read for the role of Rush Limbaugh.
oh.
And I mean, I had the voice and my hair. I was like, love is the only human emotion that you can buy. We'll be back in 1 minute. And they were like, yeah, Rush isn't 5'8". So that's, first of all, that's the problem. And, but I was just, man, I
Oh,
wanted to get
good.
that gig.
Yeah, that. Oh my, and what a terrific film! And you would have been great at that. That was Rush.
That was just a tiny, short, tiny, too tiny Rush. But
Hey, well, hey, look, you get and you got to embrace. I'm not that tall, and you embrace who you are, and I think they become your strengths if you don't see them as liabilities.
yeah,
You know.
another thing I read for after the fact was the Breaking Bad movie El Camino,
Oh yeah.
but it was under a working title. It was like Swan Song. And I was like, Swan Song. Okay, well, I'm going to call this in. And then I read and they're like, Breaking Bad movie, El Camino, currently under the project name. And I was just like, oh no, oh no. If I had known, I would have tried better.
There are no small parts. There's only.
uh,
Yeah, yeah. Wow. You learn. You live and learn, though.
uh,
Well, and I got an agent here in Phoenix many years ago,
mm,
and well, they just broke my heart. And I had a new cell phone. I've never been great at technology, and I was sent an email that I was called in to do a reading for Breaking Bad in its early. This was when it was
Oh,
early.
wow.
Yeah, but I'm such a moron technologically. I didn't figure out how to get email for about 6 weeks, and I saw it way later. Not that I would have got the gig,
Oh,
but I actually did. I mean, my agent was going to throw me in, at least let me read for early stages Breaking Bad, and I didn't even see the email
oh,
until many weeks later. So yeah, just chalk some things up to just being stupid,
yeah,
and that was a dumb moment for me, for
yeah.
sure.
So you said family, kids, wife, all that stuff, yeah? Or
Yeah, my wife of nearly 40 years. She's a singer and a model, was a big time model once upon a time, still
nice.
is. And then I got two kids. My daughter's just on her way to Europe to go play basketball, which is a
Wow.
weird thing. And my son is in law school, and they still let me come home at night.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all good. Yeah.
They love the acting aspect. They get excited.
Well, I tell people that we're not a family. We're a circus troupe. And all of them are performers in their own right, so they sort of understand the tap dance. You either perform or you don't eat, or it's sort of that kind of gig, and.
Yeah.
So they get it. Thank God they get it.
Anything coming up? Anything on the books? Anything slated? Anything in the starting gates for you?
I wish I could just rattle off a whole bunch of titles, but I got a short film that's making the rounds in film festival called The Harvest, which is actually very deep and very. I thought it was a great role. And then this film that some of our friends here in town, Some Nudity Required, which I get to
Sure.
play a swashbuckling asshole. On it
That's
very
Guy Crawford, director Guy Crawford. Yeah.
and Trey Goodman.
Yeah.
So anyhow, both good guys, and so those things are floating around, and I'm available soon as Marty Scorsese and Steven Spielberg get that next script written.
I
And yeah,
love it.
dude, I want to work. You and I have done read throughs together. Why I would love to do a little face to face on camera with you someday.
Absolutely. That's
I'll take the supporting
That's a
role
done
there.
deal. That's a done
Uh,
deal. That's happening. Let me
well,
ask you this, because we're close here, and I want to get your years of experience uh, behind, in front of the camera, on sets, everything. Advice to new actors, and it doesn't have to be one thing. It can be five things. I've seen new actors shoot themselves in the foot. I've seen them do good things, but a lot of them kind of go blindly into this, and then after 3 years, they're like, yeah, I can't do this, man. And so, advice, thoughts, the Mike WATKISS moment, hit it. Give him some advice.
I think that it's not for everybody, and but if you do have it, if you can't, you need to do it. If you have to do it, then pursue it any way you can, and you really have to sort of make your own reality. And don't be afraid to throw. If I showed you some of my early stand-ups as a reporter, they're embarrassing to me. You get better, and hopefully you find people that'll allow you to get better because you're not going to be great at first. I still feel like I'm just now learning how to be a good actor, and it took me a long time to feel like I was a good reporter. But you know what? If you love doing it, seize every opportunity you can to do it.
Yeah.
Get If you want to be in front of a camera, I tell young reporters, find a camera guy to go shoot you some stand-ups and do them over and over and over and over again, and
Yeah.
do it, and it'll get easier, and you'll get better. Make your own reality. Don't shy away, and be willing to fail,
Mm.
and get back up, and don't and keep going. Those are the simple. They're all a bunch of cliches that every actor's heard before, but it's just there's some truth to that. If you want to do it, you'll know that, and you'll need to do it, and do it as with a fire in the belly.
Absolutely. And I think people have more of an opportunity now than I know
Oh,
when I
yeah.
started in the 80s. It was, I'm going to the post office with 15 manila envelopes and videotapes. And nowadays I'm like, you've got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media, YouTube, things you could do your own projects just to get your face out of, and you never know what's going to catch.
And well, and look at you. I mean, there's a whole slew, couple of generations of celebrities I now, an old man like me, have never heard of because they have become millionaires, billionaires on TikTok,
Sure.
and don't explore all the avenues because there's a whole bunch of ways
Yeah.
to get yourself out there and catch somebody's eye that hey, this person has some talent.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been at the farmers market in LA. I've been at Santa Monica Pier, and I hear the screams And then all of a sudden 30 or 40 people are running over. And I'm like, what is that? And my kids are like, oh, it's a Instagram star. It's a YouTube star. And I'm like,
Right.
not a clue.
Right.
But they're out there building their own celebrity. They're doing it.
Yeah, make your own reality in this world. Yeah.
That is huge. That is huge advice. Go out there. If you've got the dream, saddle up on it and write it out there. Go do it. Go after it.
And take note with this guy, young people. Sean honestly, you seem to have as good a business model. You're working, dude. And as an actor, that's really all you can. That's the best you can say. Hey, I'm working. And you seem to have a pretty healthy, supply of work. And it's admirable. And I know you hustle your ass off to get it.
You know what it is, Mike? Years ago, when I was doing this, and I would land a gig, I would just revel in it. I would be like, I got an audition in 3 weeks. Yeah. And I would do nothing but prepare for that audition. Then I would audition and I would wait for the callback. 2 weeks. Say, you got a callback. All right. I got a callback in 2 weeks. Yeah. And then I'd go and I'd do the callback and I'd land it. And they're like, it shoots in 3 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. Shoots in 3 weeks. And I would do nothing else. And from the time that I got the audition to the callback to the actual shooting, 2 months would pass, 3 months.
And your life is sort of on hold because you're just always waiting for that.
Yeah. And not only that, but I'm like, wow, I've racked up 4 credits this year.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
And now I'll land a gig and then I'm like, great, put it on the calendar. And I start submitting again. And now I'm doing 3, 4, 5 gigs a month. I'm traveling everywhere, but that's because I don't want to, just doing 1 a month. That doesn't suffice.
Right. Because you're an actor.
Got to keep hustling, man.
Because you're an actor.
Oh, this man. Well, Mike, listen, it was a pleasure. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for talking to everybody that's going to hear this and see this. Listen and take that advice to heart, people, because Mike knows what he is talking about. Mike WATKISS. Follow him on social media. Website or anything you want to push?
We got the Story Hustler YouTube channel that I'm doing with my daughter, and the book Story Hustler is available on Amazon.
I will throw that up on the screen. I'm going to throw up a clip of you, the Dumb and Dumber, and everything and anything. And you were awesome, man. Thanks for being here today, Mike. You were awesome.
I'll see you again, and thanks for inviting me. And again, let's do some project together.
Absolutely.
I'll do anything.
It's a done deal.
Yeah, brother.
It's coming.
Sean.
All right. Be well. Thank you for listening to the Sean Dillingham podcast. For more information or questions, you can always visit www.seandillingham.com.